But look at this, David Nascani's got his nose right down the right hand side of Paul Maguire here. There's not going to be a repeat this time. So 20 minutes of racing here at Donnington coming up in the Radical SR3 XXR, the new mod introduced to AC with the development and input from Radical themselves. Great to see it here on the stream today as part of our second Syndicate Motorsport League in AC. And I'm very much looking forward to a good race ahead. Hopefully we all get through T1 in one piece. Anyway, the lights are up, engines are revving, and away we go. So David and Dan getting off to a good start there, actually getting a pretty good launch as David Nascani looks to take an early lead down into T1. No real challenge from Dan. Dan almost over-rotating immediately into T1. That's going to send him right down the grid. I think he's off the track, but not in anyone's way, thankfully, as David Nascani comes through the crane of curves with a very clear gap already, almost a second developing with no problem at all. Let's go back to Paul Maguire here, who leads the remainder of the pack. A couple of cars running wide again at the bottom of the old hairpin. Looks like Dan again, potentially. That's going to definitely upset Dan's chances of finishing on the podium. But Paul Maguire here, leading a train of radicals. We've got Akashik in P3, Andrew Shaw in P4, Tom D in P5, Matt in P6, Red in P7, Nasuru in P8, Binding in P8 I think that was, but it's now replaced by Nasuru and Kaiser Greenies. I'm not sure where Binding's just disappeared off to. And Jordan S in P10, but again, just a few seconds in the pack at the moment. As they work their way down through the crane of curves, we've got Andrew Shaw worrying about where Tom D is behind him. I think a little tiny bit of contact there as they get very nose to tail. And Tom here getting a nice run through the old hairpin, but Matt's on the inside here looking to take advantage of a small mistake from Tom. But Tom coming back, slight contact between those two. Both are still on track, flashing the headlights from Matt's head to say, don't do that again, thank you very much. And he's overtaken Akashik as Tom now battling 3 wide down the start-finish straight as they come down to the first corner. I think Akashik backing out there, doesn't want to get mixed up in a bit of a conflict, flashing his lights again. Tom getting into a little bit of a pickle here with 2 drivers now on that same lap. But you can see here that Matt is getting very close behind Binding. Binding going defensive there. Matt decides to try and push it around the outside. Will he cut back? Matt's using every little inch of the track there, pushing the car quite wide onto the curves as he comes up to McLean's. Getting the car slightly more rotated than Binding there, and you can see that's allowed him to get onto the gas a little bit earlier and close the gap to Binding. Binding looks like he's over-rotating both Greeny and Binding there. Look like they're about to get into the way of Matt. He's managed to ease off the gas and stay out of trouble, but Dan has taken the opportunity to sneak through there. Let's go to Dan's point of view. Let's actually go on board with Matt's, because these guys are battling nose to tail. Matt's now on the left-hand side. It's not exactly where you want to be for this particular corner. Dan manages to hold his defensive position there. Then Matt's a little bit later on the brakes. That's cost him a little bit there in over-rotation. But Dan's gone a little bit too far off the track, and that's going to allow Matt to fight back now. It's not all over yet. And here's Matt trying to find a way through. Again, really difficult place to try and make that move work, because you're not really going to have much opportunity with the way that the track's going to be turning. And these guys continue their unrelenting battle. This is some really great stuff here. Andrew better be watching his mirrors, because you can see actually manoeuvring there, thinking, can I make this work? But he's not quite got the speed yet, but there he goes. He has managed to sneak that one through very nicely. Took advantage of a little bit of a slip there from Andrew. And Akashik is up and through to P4. In the background, you can see Nasuru has now got Dan and Matt back in the mix. And Nasuru is driving a very defensive line into Redgate. But Dan isn't phase, manages to push it round the outside anyway, and Matt is now the back of this little train of 3. Matt's here, trying to find a way to get past Missouri, but Matt's absolutely bins it. I think maybe second-guessed himself a little bit too much there and loses out. No contact between the two of them. Just a slight misjudgment from Matt. David Ascardi trying to get past Neat here, who should be yielding. Does so, gets out of the way. Let's see if Paul has any issues getting past Neat, who's currently in P14 and getting lapped at the moment. Tom D's point of view here with Nasseru just losing out to Tom as they come through the chicane. Lots of cars on the grid at the moment here as they come down the start-finish line. I think these guys are being lapped at the moment. Looks like Alex Barr being forced off track there. That might be something to report. And Dan is now fighting with Tom D. Whoa, okay, what's happened there? That looked like a lag spike to me. Let's see if Andrew's got an opportunity here to fight back. He has got some pretty good pace coming out of the chicane here as he closes up behind Thierry Red. Into Redgate there, you can see Red a little bit slower onto the brakes than Andrew Shaw. Andrew over-rotates and doesn't catch the rear end. That's game over for Andrew, unfortunately. Matt says, no problem, I'll take that. And let's go on board with David. Paul parking himself right on the right-hand side of the track. He's saying, no, thank you. And he's moving over there into the braking zone. But David does a great job there of staying out of too much trouble there. Paul very, very aggressive with defending. And David Ascardi again fighting their way through. Let's go on board with David Ascardi and we're going to see from his point of view what Paul does this time to try and hold on to the win here. 2 minutes of race time remaining. That's literally 2 laps. There's a little bit of traffic ahead. You can see a back marker which these guys are going to have to fight their way through. You can see the rotation that David Ascardi managed to get on the radical there as he comes through the old hairpin there. And here it goes. I think that's the move. He is side by side with Paul, but Paul has got the inside line. He's going to be able to hold on to that, controlling the corner there. And David again trying to find a way. This is almost a carbon copy of the lap we saw previously. We're going to see Paul park himself on the inside, but look at this. David Ascardi's got his nose right down the right hand side of Paul Maguire here. There's not going to be a repeat this time. And now it's going to be who gets through the chicane in one piece. Paul just cutting in there. And David Ascardi getting a little bit too much curb time there. Allows Paul to sneak back once more. These two have definitely... Oh yeah, look at that. That's bad news for David Ascardi. I think that's win for Paul Maguire now. So here we go, lights are up, engines are revving, and race 2 is underway. Neat getting off to a pretty good start there. Greeny holding on to P3 at the moment. You can see the faster drivers with getting a good start there. Diving into the middle there, let's see if we get through T1 in one piece. Hopefully the drivers taking their time here. Absolute swarm of radicals. It looks like a little bit of contact there between Andrew Shaw potentially. Let's just quickly go back a little bit further. So from Andrew Shaw's point of view here, you can see behind him Matt's getting a little bit squirrely as he runs wide on the exit. Bit of contact in the back there, I think, between a couple of the drivers. Looks like Matt's has done quite poorly out of the opening lap. Dan's already up to P3. Jordan's up in P1 at the moment. Kaiser's in third place at the moment. Andrew Shaw's up to P4. Red's in P5. Tom D in P6. Looks like Kaiser getting pushed off slightly there by Andrew Shaw maybe. And that puts him off the racing line. Let's go to Jordan here, who is side by side with Dan on the run down to the chicane. Jordan holding on to P2 at the moment. Andrew Shaw getting slightly hard done by in the chicane there, allowing Red, Tom D and Matt to all sneak through. Andrew here side by side with Binding as they go side by side, but looks like Binding took a bit of a spin there, and I think Mats did quite well. I think that was Mats. Could be Paul Maguire, did very well to avoid him at the very last second there. As they come through the crane of curves, looks like Tom getting a bit of overspeed here, having to take evasive reaction there to avoid Red. Looks like Red slammed on the anchors for some reason, and Tom was not expecting that at all. Looks like Mats says thank you and slips up to P4. Jordan now having to fight with two radicals, or three radicals I should say, as they go three wide almost, with Tom D sneaking up with Red at the front. Jordan staying on 4th place, Mats here trying to find a way through. Mats again very happy to just take a few more moments to find a better place to overtake. Doesn't take the gambles. In the background you can see Greeny has just spun himself into the pit lane. I believe that wasn't what he was attempting to do. But yeah, pretty bad news for Greeny there as he makes an unplanned pit stop. Matt's now looking for an opportunity to go on the right side. Jordan not going to go defensive. I think Jordan's decided just to let Mats go without too much of a fight here, because that could be dangerous for Jordan to stay in that kind of a situation for too long. Nasuru in the background in P8, working their way up with Paul Maguire, trying to catch up to these guys. Looks like Red and Mats going side by side through Redgate there. Looks like Mats getting slightly over-rotated, maybe catching a bit of grass from the inside, and Red is sneaking through there. Let's have a quick look at things from Paul's point of view as he tries to find a way past Jordan. Going on the inside here of Coppice. Managed to get through cleanly with no contact between the two, and that's nice to see, but they're going to be side by side running down to the chicane. Nasuru in the mix here, right behind Jordan. There's going to be a bit of a sandwich here with hopefully them getting three in one piece. Looks like Jordan has to take the unplanned exit there. Nasuru gets through and Jordan drops down to 8th place unfortunately. He does very nicely out of the chicane there, easing off the throttle there to try and keep the car going in a straight line on the grass, but Nasuru and Paul Maguire are side by side as they come down to Redgate. And Paul is through. David is going to be wanting to take a piece of the action as well. He's going to be right on Nasuru's tail now, I think. Again, we notice it's a very tricky place to overtake. You do get the overspeed, but what do you do with it? Because you can't really make a move on this corner very effectively. But I think he's going to be able to do it, because it looks like Nasuru's gone off track. David's going to have to try and shoot up. Oh, look at that. Nasuru almost taking David Descardi out as he loses the rear end of the Radical. So on the way down to Redgate, looks like Andrew Shaw snuck it down the inside here. But it looks like contact between Paul Maguire and Red. I don't think Red saw Paul. Paul already had his nose down the inside there, and Red has done quite poorly out of that. So Jordan here, P6, is now got Mats behind him again. Mats quite aggressive now, looking for a way through. Manages to sneak it up there, no problem at all. And loses it on the way through McLean's, but does actually keep it going in the right direction. Red getting past without too much of an issue here. Nakshik now coming up behind Jordan, looking to take a piece of the 8th place that Jordan is currently occupying. Nakshik getting on the brakes a little bit earlier there, but then doesn't seem to hurt too much as he fights his way back up to Jordan's rear side here. Nakshik going around the outside, dangerous place to try and make a move, because on the curb there you can easily lose the car, and you can see Nakshik easing off the throttle. Jordan almost making contact behind, but actually does manage to make that move work, and he is through to P8. Mats takes the inside line, trying to cut in front of Paul Maguire. But Nasuru is now in the mix. And Nasuru has a chance here to get past Mats. Mats not leaving him much room, but manages to get through cleanly. Nasuru is getting very close behind. Nasuru tries to make the move, but runs on the outside here. Mats taking the defensive line into T1. Nasuru has got through, but Mats is clinging on for dear life at the moment. I think they both got caught out there by the T1 slippery tarmac. You can see Paul Maguire here having to deal with Mats. Mats being forced around the outside here. Paul now trying to make sure he's got every bit of inch of space he's got available in T1 to hold on to the position there. Mats losing the rear end just momentarily there, but catches it just at the right moment. And as they come down through the crane of curves, you can see Mats is going to be right on Paul's tail here. A dab of the brakes at the wrong moment here could spell disaster. But they seem to be holding on, and the battle continues. He's got Mats in P6 behind him, but at the moment Paul's trying to push down the inside here. Goes very late on the brakes into the chicane and manages to sneak a fantastic overtake on Red, who's taken by a little bit by surprise. And now Red's got something to worry about from Mats and Nasuru, battling side by side down the start-finish line here, going towards Redgate. Mats is going to be trying to hold on to the inside line here. I think he's going to hold on to that and push Nasuru a little bit wide. No contact between those two, so that's all fine. But now Mats and Nasuru are going to be battling down the crane of curves. Let's go on board from Nasuru's point of view as they watch on as Mats tries to hunt down Red. And in the front there, Paul just has to try and hold on for a little bit longer here, and he can take home P4. But there's only 7 seconds left. And I don't know if Tom's already started the next lap. He might have already done. Looks like Mats trying to force his way down the inside on Red. Manages to get through there. Nasuru throwing it down the outside. Red taking the cutback from Mats. It's all happening now. And these guys are going to be finishing at the end of this lap. So David Nascardi's already just came in third. Paul Maguire looks to be taking home 4th place. Red, I think, is going to take home 5th place. And Mats and Nasuru will take 6th and 7th place respectively. So great battling from these guys at the latter half of the race there.